We were supposed to do this 3 hours ago.
Yeah.
But what happened? What happened, Mr. Captain?
So a thing happened. So allergies are a thing. And Sean has been getting me an agave instead of honey, which would have helped me with my allergies.
Myth.
Sure. But I was congested. So I was like, I'll just take a Benadryl before I go see Sean. And it was fucking with me. Like I was getting drowsy, and then we're adding alcohol to it. And apparently that was a terrible idea.
It didn't help because you were still reacting to whatever. I mean, pollen is a motherfucker, right?
For sure.
Here in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yes.
And a lot of places.
In a lot of places.
But it didn't work.
Yeah, I was still, it was not fun. And
you napped for about an hour.
Was it an hour?
I'm rounding up, probably.
Okay. It was probably closer to about 45 minutes because I ended up ordering some food. And then,
right.
As soon as I woke up, I probably had like 10 more minutes before it arrived.
Yeah, but then, I got onto Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh my goodness.
So you got to know that when I get pulled away from that, it's like Tears of the Kingdom is my teat that I need the nutrients
to suckle from.
So I have been ripped from that to do this, to talk about Camp Onawanda.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to do today.
What cover? Salute your shots, yeah.
My kitty's now fast asleep, I can pour myself a glass. But too many shows on Netflix are trash, it makes me wanna pass. I can't figure out what to watch, what am I supposed to do? Let's get drunk and rewatch cartoons when we were little dudes. Whiskeylodeon.
Motherfucker, we are drinking what is a glorious product. This is Whistle Pig's Piggyback Rye.
Piggyback Ride.
Yes. This is a rye whiskey that's been finished aging in a bourbon barrel. So not only is it spicy, it's got like a sweet finish to it.
So it aged in a barrel and then it aged in a barrel?
Yes. So basically it was like, hey, we have our own barrel. Typically it's charred American oak. And then they took like a used bourbon barrel and put it in there for a finish. So they put that in a couple months. So all that corn bourbon ends up kind of seeping into this rye to give it more of like a sweetness to the spice.
Yeah, I think I got that at first. And then time happened.
Mm-hmm.
And now it is just like a consumption thing. Like we talked about at the top of the hour. Consumption. It's what we do. Oh boy. Well, it's nice.
It is absolutely lovely.
And you got one of your little freezy cubes in there. Some of those clear cubes.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
So I have like a cooler, little like handable cooler, and I fill that with clear ice or with water, filtered water. And what makes it clear is the fact that it takes so long to freeze. So because it's covered, it's freezing at a slower pace.
So it's the coverage that does it.
It's the slow freezing.
Okay, so when you have it in a tray, that's quick because it's uncovered?
Yes, it is uncovered.
Okay.
And so that's why you get kind of that, any impurities is just frozen in there. But if it's slow, those impurities drop to the bottom because it freezes from the top down.
Got it. What defines an impurity in ice?
It's like minerals, anything like that. So that's why, like, if you get like spring water, if you freeze it fast, you'll still see impurities because it has minerals in it.
Well, I always thought minerals were good for you.
They are. So when I say impurities, I don't mean like, hey, this is bad for you. I mean, hey, this isn't going to be clear. Clear ice is just water without minerals.
Okay, so you're just getting... Okay, I see. So basically, it's a very true form of frost.
Yes.
And it's not affecting the flavor.
Correct.
But it is helping with when that ice melts and contributes that water deposit.
So it's a couple things.
Is that right?
So with clear ice, the reason why that's so preferred, especially in a larger form, is because it is slower to melt, which means it's not going to dilute your whiskey as much.
Or as quickly.
As quickly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It doesn't dilute as quickly. It takes a longer time for that water to kind of just dilute your whiskey.
Got it. So you get to enjoy this drink in a kind of a better phase, I guess.
So you're able to chill it without diluting it too much. You have enough water from the initial impact to kind of open up the flavors without like diluting it further.
Got it.
Right.
Well, without diluting this episode any further, we're going to talk about Salute Your Shorts.
We are.
Did you watch it as a kid?
I did not. Like, I mean, okay, let me rephrase that. I saw clips, but it wasn't a show that I watched because it's 2 seasons long, 10 episodes total.
Right. It's
5 episodes per season. It is not a long show.
We're going to cover 10% of it today, basically.
We are. Before we do that, I gotta share something.
Do you got a little thing today?
I do.
Oh.
We call it...
Cue them horns. The Teddy Report. For babies.
So, one of the things that my wife and I like to do with Teddy before he goes to bed is to read him stories. Like, we'll read books to him.
I've never heard of this before. No one's ever done that.
Oh, I'm sure. But my wife's a librarian, so of course we have to read books to him.
Okay, now it makes sense.
And I'm not the kind of person that just keeps a straight face while I'm reading. I like to do voices.
Yeah, I know. You've read to me when I go to sleep.
Right?
Or while I'm awake.
Both. It doesn't matter. If I can read to you, I'm going to do an accent. Oh, I'm going to make sure that you're having a good time. And I'm going to differentiate the characters for you, like you differentiate the characters.
And I always know when you do that it's not
commercials.
Real. That's how good you are. I know it's not really British.
Oh, okay. And so I'm trying to do this. I'm reading this story. I'm doing different accents. And Teddy just like looks at me straight face. He goes, "Daddy, stop it. Use your white voice."
No, he didn't.
He did. I'm pretty certain he meant right voice.
I was going to ask, can he say his R's?
Sometimes. Like, he won't say 13, he'll go 13.
Okay.
So maybe it's his R's. But yeah, white voice.
But in context of that story, it makes sense that he was... Okay, so last episode, we talked about the balance of that comedy and discipline. Like, how did you react, and like, what do you do in that situation?
Well, at that point, he's asking nicely, "Dad, stop it." He's letting me know he doesn't like it.
He didn't like these accents.
He didn't. He wanted me to use my regular voice.
Your white voice.
My white voice.
Yeah.
And so at that point, it's not like, "Bitch, you don't owe me." It's like, all right, you did ask. You're not throwing a fit. Okay. I can concede. Even though you're bland and you're whiter than the English Trading Company.
I was going to say,
India Trading Company.
It doesn't get whiter than you mimicking whiter people.
This kid, when I'm like, "Hey, we're going to get some Asian food," he goes, "Ooh, can I get white rice?" He doesn't want fried rice. He doesn't want any seasoning. He just wants plain white rice.
I mean, he's getting them starches, those proteins in just directly as they should be without sauce.
It's really hard because I've shared the story where like we were making that orange cream cake, Italian orange cream cake, and he was like, "Ugh, I wanted the Walmart cake." Like, he's just not a flavor guy. And it makes me sad because there's a whole world of flavor out there.
I think you have to let him just step into the seasoning as he's going to do.
Or I can manipulate him. Because what I have been able to do is I've been like, "Hey, this is my food. You can't eat my food." And then he'll eat it. So I've done that. And then because I've given up and I just don't care if he's like yelling at me. Like, I was like, "Hey, if you don't yell at me, fine, you can have ice cream for breakfast." But my wife's like, "Hey, we got to stop that. He's getting ready to go to kindergarten." So I'm like, "All right, fine. Hey, buddy, going forward, we're not going to have ice cream for breakfast. But we got you these Pop-Tarts." He goes, "I don't like Pop-Tarts." I'm like, "You've never had them." He goes, "I don't like them." I'm like, "Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to bet you $1 that if you take a bite and you like it, then you don't get this $1. But if you don't like it, I'll give you the $1. He goes, "Okay, done." This motherfucker takes a $1 bill, takes a bite of the Pop-Tart, and goes, "I don't like this."
So he manipulated you.
He conned me out of $1.
How many of our listeners are like, just wondering about the parenting style in this story, not in general, just in this story. And I'm using you all because I'm judging you.
Because I was my parentage when I was a kid was you at least have to try it. Because of my mind, you don't know if you don't like it if you've never tried it. It's
not that. No, it's the when you introduce the betting element. It's
my wife questioned me. It's like, why'd you introduce like gambling to him?
Your love nanny's questioning you right now. Like you had the right idea, and then you kept going a little bit, and you introduced currency.
Well, so we introduced currency before because the whole deal was like, hey, if you clean your room, you'll get $1 a day. Like
okay,
you have
so
a chance
you're doing
to earn,
incentive.
Yes.
Okay.
Where we're basically like, hey, you keep wanting us to buy like toys and trees, stuff like that. We're gonna give you the chance to earn the money so you can buy it yourself because we're done buying it for you. He's getting sneaky because one, he's like, hey, yeah, sure, I'll do that. But then on the other end, he's been like, hey, so I don't need this toy. My little brother's birthday's today. We got to get him a present. I'm like, you don't have a little brother. It was my other family. So this kid apparently has another uncle. He has an Uncle John that he spends a lot of time with. He's got a whole ass family with another brother and a sister that he's got to take care of.
Do you guys ever cook with him?
Yeah.
And is he, at the age where he can kind of figure out how to contribute to that, or is he kind of just going off of your direction?
He wants to control. So like when I was making the, was it this? No, not the simple syrup. I was making the sorbet. There we go. From last episode.
Don't tell me he's been helping us make whiskey recipes for this podcast.
Yes, he has.
Oh my god.
Okay, not the whiskey itself. So
no, but the sorbet, things that go in it.
Yeah. So I have another thing. I have a large container of sorbet at home that he can enjoy. So, he's sitting there like he wants to help, and he's like, "No, let me do this." And he's moving the congealed fruity mixture in a. What's the word I'm looking for? We're basically trying to put it through a strainer to get the liquid out without so much of the pulp and the seeds.
Yeah, makes sense.
It was very much, hey, I'll do this. Like, no, I want to do this. And I'm like, okay. And he's doing it. And he wants to help. He loves helping. And he even enjoyed eating that sorbet when it was done.
Sure, it's great.
But it's very much, he's helped with other things and still doesn't want to eat it, which breaks my heart. It hurts. It hurts my heart.
It's okay for that to hurt, but also know that he just might be a helper in that regard. And
maybe
he's contributing in a big. He's contributing to this podcast that I didn't even know that he was doing. That's amazing,
right?
Yeah. If he's enjoying that element, right?
Yeah.
Celebrate that.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Thank you, Teddy. If you're listening to this podcast,
Daddy loves you.
Oh, I was gonna say something else that we've been saying to our children and who's listening to this podcast, but I don't think I can tell your child. I don't think I can tell your child.
Teddy,
to fuck off.
If you are not at least 16 years old when you're listening to this, fuck off.
Whoa, we upgraded to 16. I thought we were at like 6.
Well, still, like if you're over 6, fine, you can listen to this. But
I don't think
for
that's
my
a
son,
good
I'm
point.
like, no, it's not. It's very much no. If you are underage, if you are squeamish around language, if you are still in grade school, you should leave.
I like that we do our disclaimers like well into the podcast.
I mean, we're in fucking season 3. If they're starting here, that's on them. Because at the very beginning, we were doing this all the time.
Yeah, who starts the season at season 3? Unless someone's like, hey, the first 2 seasons, you don't really need to see it.
But you do. It's good.
Yeah, I guess we think so. We hope so. Give us at least a... Well, we want 3 stars for each season. 3? No? No, 2's good. 2's good. We're still good with 2.
I think we deserve a 4.
We want a 4 tie.
Okay.
What do we deserve? That's not up to us.
So if you are listening to this podcast, give us a rating. Let us know what you think we deserve. If you think we deserve a 4 or a 5,
it does help us.
Sweet. It does. It's super helpful.
Yeah.
If you think we deserve a 2, tell us why. let us know. Hey, so stop talking shit about your son. Yeah, fine. I'll stop talking shit about my son.
I'll stop talking shit about his son.
Yeah. We still love you, Teddy, very much. But let us know. Talk to us, because we're lonely. We've been out of this for a while, and we miss your faces, your voices, and
mostly just your words.
Your words of affirmation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a combination of all that.
It's a combination of all of that.
Yeah, we're getting back into it.
We are,
and this is episode 2 of a doubleheader.
Mm-hmm.
As we talked about.
We've already been drinking. Yes.
Yep. So it's a slumber party episode.
I mean, it kind of is a slumber party regardless. So we are covering Salute Your Shorts. We've already mentioned it. But camping is a slumber party the entire time.
So it kind of works out.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're right.
It's a yes and yeah.
Yeah. Yes and yeah. So we are covering the first 2 episodes.
Yeah. So the pilot and then episode 2 of season 1.
Yes.
Off the bat, your first thoughts, man.
This one was a slow burn for me, in the sense that I was watching this. I'm like, this is kind of not my jam. Because I won't say it's not good. I'm just gonna say it wasn't my jam until the end of season or episode 1, and then season 2 was just kind of like,
Episode 2.
Yeah. So it was fine. But I know a lot of people really love this show, and I'm like, I think we need to watch further into it to be able to be like, oh, this is why they love it.
Yeah, I am curious about how they play with some of the arcs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, like, this is me being completely honest. I don't know how it ends. I remember watching it, but I don't remember anything specific. So watching the first 2 episodes were just kind of, I don't know, just foundation material for me.
Yeah, that's very fair. So, just so let's break down, the creator was Steve Slavkin. And we got some fun facts. You ready for that?
I think so, man. I'm just over here drinking, the whiskey that you put in my glass.
Are you liking it?
Yeah, I'm going to top myself off here in a minute. Yeah.
Do it. So, I even saw this, and I still didn't really catch it. But apparently in every episode, there's a hidden rubber chicken with a cigarette in its mouth that's visible.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, didn't catch that at all. And then apparently in the 1990 pilot, Donkey Lips is portrayed as the bully while Budnick is the sidekick. But by the time it was finally picked up, the actor who plays Budnick, Danny, whatever his name is, Danny Cooksey, there we go. He ended up getting a growth spurt, and so they ended up making him, because he had more charisma, so they made him the bully, and then Donkey Lips became the sidekick.
Interesting. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
And what's also interesting is the fact that
he's a great actor.
He is. Danny Cooksey, Kirk Bailey, who plays the counselor, Kevin Lee or Ugly, and then we also have Michael Bauer, who plays Donkey Lips. Those are the only 3 original actors who were recast or who were put back into their roles once it was picked up. Everyone else had to re-audition, and no one else made it.
And that's really common.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens probably more than we realize.
True.
If you think about, like, some of your favorite shows, like, some of them, it's like a tryout, right?
Yeah.
You make something so that it might get picked up. And then when it does, a lot of that cast can get turned over. You just don't know until that process
there might
is
be
taking
some
place.
Contract conflicts. There might be a whole bunch of other things. It could be they found someone who's even better.
Sometimes it's 100% of the cast gets replaced. Sometimes it's exactly what we're talking about here. So, but that's nice because they are strong characters. I mean, they're great.
Yeah, for sure. Other fun facts. So, in every episode, you have like the owner of the park or the camp, Dr. Khan, who comes on. You never see him.
We never see him throughout the whole
season. He never shows his face.
We're sure about that?
Yes.
Hey. I would almost hope at the last episode you do, but you might lose something with that.
Yeah. Well, apparently the voice was from Steve Slavkin, the creator.
That's why.
Yeah. And there's a couple other things. So it turns out like so Danny Cooksey, as well as Michael Bauer, who played Donkey Lips and Budnick, stayed friends the entire time. Like Donkey Lips is actually Daniel Cooksey's daughter's godfather.
What? Wait,
yeah.
Say that again?
So Budnick, in real life, Danny Cooksey, has a daughter named Zoe, and Michael Bowers is the godfather, Donkey Lips.
Oh, got it. Okay, yeah. That's great.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, wow, that friendship lasted like a long time. That stayed.
Did they ever give Donkey Lips a name, or like that's it?
I'm sure he had a name.
You know, when I do this, I realize like Ty is always sitting in the studio with a laptop on his lap where it goes, and if I ask a question, he's gonna look it up.
Eddie Donkey Lips Gelfin.
And there's your answer, folks.
So the first episode is called The First Day, in which case you have Michael, who is going to be our lead, coming in for the first time at camp, and he's immediately picked on. You get a guy who's like, hey, stick with me, I'll help you around. But then immediately the bullies are like, hey, you're the new kid, so we're going to help you out. And they take his suitcase and they run off. We're like, hey, where you going? And they take his shorts and they put in the flagpole and they bring it on there. And he's like, oh, what am I going to do? And that's when the kid, who ends up being Sponge, was like, look, all you got to do is just put your feet together and salute your shorts. And that's the title.
It's perfect.
It's quick, to the point, no bullshit. Here you go.
I like also that Michael,
yeah,
he gets off the bus and they're like, they kind of said something to the point like, why are you here? And he's like, I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
And that's so true. Did you... Like, what was your summer camp experience?
My summer camp experience, I was in the Boy Scouts, so it was Boy Scout camp. And it was very much annoying because you're like, all these people, you have your cliques, and then, of course, you have a bunch of kids, a lot of boys who are like, hey, I have some power struggles to go through. And while I personally didn't deal with a lot of the bullying or being bullied, it was just not... Unless you knew people ahead of time or you were stuck in a situation where you guys had to camp together and work together, there really wasn't a lot of like friendship building.
Interesting. So throughout that whole process, you're saying that there wasn't a lot of camaraderie?
No, I want to say there wasn't a lot of camaraderie. I mean, when I think about it,
and we're speaking for your experience,
from my experience
not the
personally,
Boy Scouts.
Because again, I was in the Boy Scouts, and so this is just what my experience was in it. I was friends with the people that were in my troop. Like, I didn't really connect with anyone from anyone else's troop. We were kind of like, hey, we're on separate teams, so we can't really get to know each other.
Was it more of a competition, or like was that competitiveness involved, or like introduced, or?
I mean, maybe on some level. But I wasn't really a part of that competition. It was just, hey, we kind of have our own cliques. We might take a similar class, but we don't talk to each other in that class. We're very much focused on trying to get our own merit badge, not making friends.
Okay. So as far as just, I don't know, what would you call this camp at Camp Onawanda?
Camp Onawanda.
It's a summer camp, right?
Yeah, I would say it's a summer camp.
Okay.
It's very much a camp. Boys and girls, co-ed, and it's just, hey, parents don't want to deal with you over the summer, so you're going to camp.
So you only did Boy Scout, not necessarily that?
No.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
But I still felt the same. My parents don't want to deal with me over the summer, so they sent me to Boy Scout camp.
I don't blame them. Not because of you.
No, so there were instances where it's like, hey, here are people in my group, and we're camping, we're doing something, and it just, some of us might really connect. So I remember there were two guys, I was about 17 or 18, and so we were stuck, we were in what was called the Adventure Road. I don't know what it was called, but it was basically, hey, here are people who have already gotten the Eagle Merit badge or on the way to get the Eagle Merit badge, and we're going to do like whitewater rafting and like high-end camping, not just, hey, you're going to be in this little tent that's been here all this time. No, you're actually going to have to go find a spot and go camping. So there was Michael Robinson, I remember, and there was another guy, and I'm totally spacing on his name.
Make up a name. Michael Bobinson.
Zedekiah Poole. I don't know.
Well, that's going to be fun to say over and over again. I don't know how stuff comes to your brain, but we'll go with it.
But yeah, it was just, as well as that we were the three funniest people, and we just loved joking around with each other. So I get the whole thing. I was like, hey, you're new. You're going to get picked on. Just take your dues. Here are your shorts. Salute them. Just own it. It's bullshit, but that's how I felt.
All right. Well, you made it. You made it to the other side.
I did. I survived.
You made it to the other side so you can talk about it on a podcast.
On a podcast.
Neat.
With alcohol.
With alcohol. How are you doing on your...
I'm doing good. I'm feeling a lot better now that I ended up like taking a nap. Like Sean was saying.
I didn't think we were gonna. I didn't think, the irony of it all is that Ty is doing much better, and I continued to enjoy myself through the break. Yeah. I mean, I went on a nice walk. I did.
Yeah. You left me all alone, passed out on your couch.
Well, yeah. I left him all alone as opposed to just sit there and watch him sleep. Shame on me.
I mean, you could have like given me some head pets, little back scratch.
None of that's weird. Yeah, but here we are.
Here we are. Now talking about Salute Your Shorts.
Yeah.
So we get to a point where basically you got Michael, who is trying to figure out his whole place in the world. So he is sitting there basically in the men's cabin, the boys' cabin. It's like, hey, where's my bed? And like, hey, it's over here. This raccoon suffered and nearly died here. It died somewhere else, but this is where it suffered. And he's like, well, you're probably trying to prank me, which means this other bed that's clean is probably pranked. So I'm just going to sleep here in this dirty-ass mattress. And then it falls apart. Like, they counted on him second-guessing, and they still got him.
No, they're almost too smart in that moment, but it happened.
It happens. So at that point, you have the bullies, Budnick and Donkey Lips, are like, all right, well, here's what's up. If you want to be on our good side where we aren't pranking you, we need you to do some stuff. We need you to go to the girls' cabin and grab some shit.
We need 3 things specifically.
Did they ask for it specifically, or is it just go and grab like 3 things?
I don't recall, but I think the 3 things that they wanted to grab were the makeup kit, the glasses, and
the diary. That's what he grabbed, but they're like, hey, what did you get? And he kind of had to let them know what he got. So I don't think it was like specifically grab these items.
Well, I think instead of the baseball mitt, they got the glasses.
Right. So you have Budnick, Donkey Lips, Sponge, who is the nerdy kid who, whenever he gets bullied and they ask him questions, he'll spit out facts. And he does a pretty good job.
Well, or he's also he's so smart that the questions that they're asking him while he's getting bullied have an answer that is like, who fucking knows that answer? So he's so smart that he knows he doesn't have to get the answer right.
Oh, fair enough.
The guy was asking a crazy math equation that he didn't know. He had no idea. So Sponge was like, in his head, he's probably like, I don't fucking know what that is. I don't know. 2,000.7.
Yeah. No, that's very fair.
Yeah. But I bet if we check the math, it's probably right.
We'll have to double check.
I don't think we will.
I don't
think we should. We won't. In what world are we going to do that after this?
Who's going to hold us accountable to that?
It's going to end with bottoms up, and then you and I are going to go do math equations.
Oh, man. So here's where things got kind of interesting. So Michael is breaking into the girls' camp, the girls' cabin. And this is booby trapped. So he doesn't set up any traps, but it turns out that the counselor, who we are introduced as Kevin Lee, but everyone calls him Ugly, and he ends up coming in to check on everyone, and he ends up tripping on all the traps. So he ends up getting eggs thrown at him. He ends up getting like feathers like doused in feathers, which, oh, here's another fun fact. Apparently, like, feathers got stuck in his mouth and they couldn't get it out, and they had to like do Heimlich to try and like help him because he just couldn't like get those feathers out. Like, it was, yeah.
Of his throat.
In his throat. Yeah, it was not a safe thing.
So he got like real life Kevin McAllistered.
Yes, he did.
Holy shit. Like
he
straight
just,
up Home Alone.
Yeah, just straight up Home Alone. And so at that point, Michael and Sponge, I think, was actually with them, end up getting out, heading back to their camp. And so Kevin Lee comes in and is like, I will give a milkshake and a pizza for every day for the person who tell me who the fuck did this.
He says that.
And so Buddy is like, and right on my friends, go pluck yourself.
He does say go pluck yourself.
And that's, at that point, he's always like, and rat on my friends. He's basically saying, hey, these guys did it, but I'm not going to say it. But Kevin is not the smartest guy. And
no,
doesn't really
that's putting it lightly.
Yeah.
That's putting it so lightly.
So at that point, it's like, it was pepperoni and bell peppers. Who doesn't love bell peppers? Thin crust. Which you are actually making it out. It's like, was thin crust really a big deal back in the 90s?
Right, I'm not sure. But like when I heard that, I thought maybe thin crust was like a newer thing. By newer, I mean like 15 years.
Yeah,
from
like early 2000s.
The time of this recording, which is 2023. But that was one of those things where I think I was watching like a movie from the 60s. It was like The Apartment or something. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but
yeah.
One character said, all right, here's what we're going to do, blah, blah, blah. He lays out the plans and he goes, you dig? And I was like, wait, you dig? I thought that was something that happened 30 years later. So basically the moral of the story was two things. I don't know anything, and it happened.
Oh, I'm so glad we're back in sync. I've missed you.
We're back.
So
our podcast moon cycles are back in sync.
Yes, we're back in cycle. So now that the counselor is gone, of course, Benedict's like, all right, spill. Like, what are the spoils of your treasure trove? And they got the diary, in which case the diary was like, hey, this new kid came in and he's pretty cute. And of course, Benedict's like, oh, fuck this. I don't want to read this. And then we get the makeup kits. And then we get the glasses. And at that point, I believe that was Telly's glasses. And they forgot him and somehow lost him in the woods. So now they're all four of them, all the four guys are trying to find the glasses. And of course, Michael steps on them. Crunch. And at that point, Sean just gave me the look. I was like, did you do that?
He did it.
He did. And at that point, the next day, they're like, all right, hey, look, welcome to the Secret Society. I got your back. We're going to blame someone else. And this is Budnick. And so the girls come over like, yo, bitches, where's our stuff? And they're like, we don't know. Actually, I know who did it. It was this kid. And they framed a kid.
We've never seen him. We've never
seen him. He's a dorky ass kid with these big ass glasses.
And Ty, when we were watching this episode, what question? Do you remember what I asked you? Like when they're in like kind of like the main clubhouse.
Remind me.
I said, "Where are the other campers?"
Yeah,
because we haven't seen anyone.
We haven't, not at all.
I thought maybe these were the only campers, which was weird.
Which would have been super weird.
But then, yeah, it
then pans to a bunch of other kids.
Or cuts across.
And all the other kids around him just scattered like, no, don't even bring me into this.
So cartoony. I loved it.
And so, of course, they had already stuffed his bag. So they had the makeup kit. They had the diary. They had the broken glasses. And so they're going to awful waffle him.
Which... I don't know. Do we get to see this later in the series?
I don't know. We're going to have to find out. But basically, they lift up his shirt,
and
it
some
looks
fans
like...
right now are remember when we did Pete and Pete?
Yes.
Kind of?
Yeah.
This episode is Salute Your Shorts, kind of.
Yeah. And so at that point, it looks like they're trying to put syrup all over his belly. What they're going to do after that, I have no idea.
I don't know. Someone tell us.
Yeah, tell us. If you know what the awful waffle is, can you let us know, please?
Yeah. We don't have the internet to look it up on our own.
Oh, well, now I'm going to try and look it up.
Ty, no. We had a conversation earlier about being present, didn't we?
We did, but I just want to be like, hey,
We did, but go fuck yourself. He's determined. Guys, when he gets determined, you got to let him do his thing. You don't want to let him get undetermined.
No. It's just a maple syrup based treble inflation device that can push your amp for screening overdrive. Oh, I don't even know what that is. We're going to not deal with that.
Yeah, so this is what happens when you go down a rabbit hole when you should have just been...
Okay, so the maple waffle, you place a tennis racket on the stomach of your victim, and it creates the waffle. So basically, they would take like a tennis and whack them with the syrup and stuff like that.
That's awful.
That's why it's the awful waffle.
Cool. Well, I mean, that sounds like something that hopefully doesn't happen.
Falafel?
What?
That sounded really Jewish. I'm not going to stop. So regardless,
you only made it a thing when you said it sounded Jewish.
It did. Falafel, like shalom.
It does. It's like hello. It's kind of like a morning greeting.
Hey, falafel, my waffle.
So yeah, there's something there. I'm determined not to cut this segment out.
Fair enough.
It feels okay.
Okay.
Also, like, if someone were to come downstairs and say that to me and offer it, if you don't offer someone a waffle in that moment, then you're a dick.
Touche. Would you like a waffle?
You're a dick. You don't have a waffle. All right. I need to go buy a tennis racket now.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So at this point, once Michael finds out what the awful waffle is, Sponge is trying to tell him, and he goes, no, I can't let this kid take it for me. He goes, look, stop. It was me, and I'm sorry. And I'm owning it. It was wrong. It was trying to be a prank. It got away from me. I'm sorry. And all the girls are like, you can go fuck yourself.
They say that.
And we think that's it. But then, as we're cutting to, he is in his camp. They're trying to play basketball. He goes, no, I'm just going to stay inside. Because he knows he's going to get ragged on. But then as soon as all the guys leave, guess who walks in? We got Telly walking in. And he goes, what are you doing here? It's like, look, I got you your boombox back. I thought you hated me. Well, if you would have lied to me, I would have hated you.
More.
But now I just hate you a little.
Yeah.
Because I'll take it. And we kind of see this budding romance between the two.
And we're going to talk about the second episode, but we don't really get it there. So it just kind of like happens here.
Yeah, it happens here. I mean, there's kind of something. It's not like it's
flirtatiousness.
Overt. Yeah.
Which, I mean, I miss like camp.
There were camp romance. Okay, so this wasn't quite like summer camp so much as like, hey, this is just a summer thing. It was not like a college campus. So like I've had like summer flings from that.
Sure. Yeah.
So no. So that was like, I remember that. I get that.
Those can be hard, man. Heartbreaking.
Oh, for sure.
Well, it's very temporary, and I don't think, I'll speak for myself, my brain understood like temporary romance at the time. And then it's like, oh wait, we're gonna go
away.
I'm gonna go that way. You're gonna go that way.
This way.
I'm going to go this way. You're going to go that way. And then bye.
Yeah. It is a very interesting lesson to learn that people can come into your lives for a moment or for a lifetime.
And I think I've gotten better about appreciating that these are chapters.
Mm-hmm.
And it has made me appreciate those chapters a lot more. When I was like 15, hell no, I had no fucking idea what I was doing.
No one did.
I still don't. But, if you can maybe 1% figure it out a little bit more along the way, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after this first episode, like that ending, I was kind of like, okay, I might like this show.
Sure.
And then we got to episode 2.
Has COVID left you without anyone to pick on? Have you been itching to mess with some nerds? Or are you looking to finally punish someone who totally deserves it? Well, now you don't have to wait for summer camp, you fucking bully, because we can bring summer camp to you with the all-inclusive Awful Waffle Kit. Not only do we provide you with a titanium tennis racket to create the cubbies on the stomachs of your enemies, but we also make sure you're prepared to dress your waffle with the stickiest Pennsylvania molasses, the coldest bottle of whipped cream, and the cutest little maraschino cherries to crown the top of your victory. Smile as you stand supreme with the Awful Waffle Kit. Not for sale in Canada, as they're too fucking nice, those fucking nerds.
Whiskeylodeon, ya, 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 ya.
So now we're covering Ghost Story, the second episode of Salute Your Shorts, and this one, not my favorite. This actually felt like this could have been an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark?
It absolutely felt like that.
Yeah, it was campy. We're going to tell all these horror stories. And so they tell the story of Zeke. It's actually Benedict telling the story of Zeke, the old custodial guy of Camp Anawana. And at this point, it's like, hey, he ended up having a toilet explode in his face and it burned his face off. And now anyone who touches his plunger is cursed. And the two people that do touch it is Michael and Telly. And of course, it's like, oh, you're now cursed. And so at nights, Michael has the nightmare first. And at this point, he is sitting there waking up, and there's a guy, and there's a toilet in their cabin right there, just plunging.
He's just plunging away.
He's just plunging away. He goes, what are you doing? I was like, I'm plunging. What's it look like? Are you Zeke, the toilet man? And he goes, yeah, that's very astute of you, dumbass. And
he says that, but also describe his face for me.
It is.
Or honestly, describe his whole getup.
So he's in a custodial outfit, and he has what you can tell is a mask on covering his face. And then he's got bandage over that mask, over his nose. And it's like his eyes look dead inside because it's protruding out from a mask, or concaving into the mask. And then it's like some kind of hat that looks weird.
And his whole thing is that he lost his nose.
Yeah.
So
he got burned off.
That's why he's got this bandage around, which has like blood seeping through it.
Yeah.
Like it's not just a white, clean bandage over his face.
Yeah, it's bloodied. And at this point, he's sitting there. It's
unsettling.
It is very unsettling.
Yeah, like they did a good job. Like, Are You Afraid of the Dark? This would have made sense. For this, I was just like, holy shit! I thought I'm supposed to be laughing. I'm like, why am I? I'm shivering. Ty, pass me the whiskey, please.
Yeah. Oh, I need a drink to kind of calm my nerves.
Yeah, and that's why we do this podcast. We don't know what's going to happen.
To calm our nerves.
Yes. And so he's in there, what? Just plunging away?
Just plunging away. And it's like, look, I can pull anything out from your head. Like, I know about your stuffed animal that you keep with you. And he goes, how do you know about that? Because I can pull out anything from your head. And he ends up taking the plunger and, like, shaking it in his face. Just putting it in, just about to plunge his face. And that's when Michael wakes up and goes, oh, my gosh, that was so scary. Really, dude? Really?
I don't know. I was scared.
But regardless, I mean, it would have been gross. But, no. Ew.
Well, he's shaking the stuffed animal, too.
Yeah, because he pulls out from the plunger.
Right.
So he pulls out from the toilet.
Yeah, and it's like this drip. I mean, like...
It's like a hippo. It's dripped in toilet water.
Drippo.
Drippo. It's a Drippo.
No, Drippo.
Sounds like a Pokemon.
I would catch it.
Drippo? Drippo? Drippo?
I don't know what he's saying.
Drippo.
I can't understand. Oh, Drippo. Sorry,
I'm taking the Pokemon knowledge that each Pokemon says their name. That's their language.
Yeah, well, I just hit you with some human knowledge and decided that I can't understand what you're saying because you're a Pokemon. And I was playing that card.
I am Groot. My gosh, Groot's a Pokemon.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it turns out that Tally didn't sleep at all. And so she's tired. And so when she falls asleep at breakfast, you see Bennett coming over and he goes, Zeke, the ghost man, or whatever he's saying. And so, of course, she has her nightmare.
Daymare.
Yeah, that's fair. Her daymare. And at this point, he goes, I can make your dreams come true. And she said something about a ball, because I guess she was trying to play sports. But no. She just said ball. So now she's at a prom all by herself.
A ball. Yep.
And a ball gown dress. And she is miserable and she hates it. She wants to get out. It's like, nope, you're stuck here for eternity.
And then when I think he's gonna make her dance with her, he takes his plunger and starts dancing with it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool.
Yeah, cool story, bro. And at that point, he puts the plunger in her face, and she wakes up freaking out. And so at this point, they're like, no, we have to get Bennett back. He fucked with us. He put this in our heads. We got to get back at him. So they challenge him. And they're like, hey, we bet you won't stay where Zeke died for the whole night. I'm like, I'll take that bet. And if I win, you guys have to come out with wearing a dress and your stuffed animal. And if you lose, you gotta talk about how much of a sissy you are.
And so he goes out to the woods, right?
Yeah. They go there and they bring him like his stash of snacks. They bring out a chair. They gotta set him up to be like, hey, I'm gonna be comfortable. But as soon as they leave, he gets to work. Also,
who decides that he wants to be in on this whole prank?
Donkey Lips.
And
he tries to be there, and Budnick just rips him a new one, makes fun of him. And then he goes, fine, you can do this by yourself. He's like, wait, you're abandoning me? Yeah, motherfucker, you were mean to me.
Yes. So, yeah, he's there.
Yeah.
But that's not
Oh, you're talking about the counselor. The counselor pops in and he goes, I want to get even.
Yeah.
Because at the very beginning of the episode, we totally missed this. You have Sponge taking a video recorder like, hey, look at this beautiful place. Here's this big gray rock. We call it because it's big, it's gray, and it's a rock. Here are these trees. Yeah. And then he pulls over, and there is Budnick writing about how Kevin Lee is ugly. And so at that point, the counselor comes in, and he goes, I caught you. He goes, you can't say this is me. He goes, look, there's my evidence. And he goes to grab the camera. So... yeah, here he is, now coming back. It's like, I want to get even. I want to get revenge on a child.
He wants to get revenge on a child.
He does.
It's leadership at its finest.
At its finest. It's like, oh, yeah, this won't get you fired.
Not one bit.
Not one bit. So at that point, the plan goes in effect. You got Donkey Lips wearing his pumpkin hat. But he can't say anything, so keeps bumping into everything.
Yeah, he was told, apparently off screen, that he can never take this off.
Yeah.
Or else.
Yeah, he definitely did not want to take that off. But then, like, it's nighttime, and here is Budnick completely home aloneing this place. Like, this apparently is very common at this camp. Setting up very extravagant traps.
And he's pretty fearless, as far as we know, but he does introduce early on that he's afraid of spiders.
Yes. So at this point, you have the girls coming in, and they try to scare him, but that's not him in the chair. He's actually set up a decoy.
With the head of a melon.
With the head of a melon.
Which they confirmed he indeed.
Yeah, and the girls were freaking out because the head fell off. It's like, ah! And they're like, oh, I knew he was a melon head.
Yeah.
And as they're walking by a trash can, you see a hand pull up, like grab up and grab Telly and pull her into the trash can, and they freak the fuck out. And of course, but it's like, ha ha ha, got y'all motherfuckers.
She gets out though, right? Because
yeah,
if she were to fall in, it would have been like,
she would have fallen on top of him. We forgot. Okay, so I got to go back and share this in the first episode. They're sitting there playing basketball in there, and so she keeps scooting her butt up against Michael. I was like, okay, there's definitely something there. But now that I've gotten that out, let's go back to episode 2. Yeah, so she's pulled into a trash can. She gets out, and they freak out because like that was hella scary. And then we get to part 2, in which case we have Michael and Sponge, and they're wearing like a ghost outfit, and they end up tripping the trap that Budnick set up, where it's just a bunch of sodas that he was shaking the fuck out of. At that point, once they crossed it, they got sprayed with soda and they fell down. And it's like, hi, you can't get me, y'all dumbass motherfuckers. And
because apparently if you shake up sodas, it will last for roughly 3 hours.
Yeah.
Until it settles.
Apparently that's what it is. Like that carbonation has nowhere to go, so it's just going to stay building up.
Science. I mean, in science, all we do is study podcast law.
Yeah. Podcast law and science. Podcast science.
That's what we are. Yeah, that's how we...
The podcast science and law.
How do you think Ty feeds his child who says what the fuck and his unborn child who is going to say what the fuck?
Yeah, that's probably going to be her first words.
She's going to pop out just saying, what the fuck? I mean, that's what we're all thinking when we're infants.
It is.
Like, what the fuck is going on? In fact, I feel that way in my mid-30s.
That's just what life is. Life is just looking around going, what the fuck? And it could be like, whoa, what the fuck? Or it could be like, what the actual fuck is this?
I think it goes in a sequential order here. It goes, what the fuck? How the fuck?
What the actual fuck?
Why the fuck?
Okay.
And it's not that we have to answer those questions, but I think that's our evolution of our consciousness.
That's just consciousness. The questions of consciousness
what the
throughout
fuck?
The world.
How the fuck? Why the fuck?
But there's also where the fuck.
I'm not sure why that would be important.
Because if you're looking for something like, where the fuck is...
Well, maybe, okay, I think where the fuck comes out in our states of deep angst.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because there's also when the fuck, because that's when you're like, when did this happen to me? When you're like, I have a trauma response. When the fuck did this happen to me?
Maybe it just ends with the fuck.
Yeah.
And then you remove the from it, and it's just fuck. And then you remove the fuck. Except for your own fucking self. You ever wonder if we listen back to this, we'll be like, yeah, that was kind of smart. And then we listen back and we're like, oh my God.
Wow. We have been drinking a lot.
Yeah, well, that's both of our faults.
We're doing this for you.
Yeah, I don't... Why the fuck?
So finally we get the third part of the plan, in which case we have the counselor dressing up as Zeke. And this is actually the same Zeke that is in the dreams.
And we don't know yet.
We don't.
But we know.
And so he's sitting there chasing, and of course Bennett's running around acting scared. We think he's scared. And then he's like, well, if you were real, then you would know that you just walked into a trap. He goes, what trap? And of course we have a cooler full of rocks that then like drops and pulls him up from a rope. And now we have this guy dangling, who then is shown to be... It's Scooby-Doo. He's basically Scooby-Doo to show he's the counselor. And at that point...
It is. Yeah, it's only that. And a little that Home Alone we talked about, you know.
Right. So it's Home Alone meets Scooby-Doo. And so at that point, you have Buddy thinking he's invincible, and then he walks into spider webs. And he freaks the fuck out. At that point, he is screaming.
He's calling for help.
Yeah, he is. I'll give away everything. I will, admit defeat. Just help me here. And, of course, they come in, and he goes, I was just messing around. I wasn't being serious. This wasn't a real bet. It was just very much he was trying to get out of it.
Like, no, I want my iPod back.
And they go to bed. Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck's an iPod?
Right. And
they go to bed.
And then at that point, it's the next day. And guess who's still strung up by some rope?
And alive.
And alive, not passed out, hanging upside down, is the counselor. And who comes to his rescue? Pumpkin. No one. But he does see that there is Donkey Lips with his pumpkin helmet still bumping into stuff.
Yeah, because he's not allowed to take the pumpkin hat off.
No, he's not.
Because of the curse.
Because of the curse.
You know, the curse of the pumpkin man.
The curse of the pumpkin man.
You don't really want to mess with curses. Because if you do, that pumpkin hat will stay on your face forever.
Yeah, it won't get off at all.
No. You know the tale of the pumpkin curse man, right?
I know the tale of the pumpkin head.
What's the tale of the pumpkin head?
You've never watched the movie Pumpkinhead?
No.
It is it's a B horror movie from the 80s, I believe. But it's literally called Pumpkinhead. And it's a monster with a pumpkin for a head, and it just comes after people.
I think I've heard of this. Is it in the same vein of Leprechaun?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, well, I mean, if you're going to go to camp, just know that there are pumpkin heads,
mm-hmm.
leprechauns,
and counselors who would do sketchy stuff.
And janitors who are the counselor, who are the janitor with a mask over their broken nose.
So this episode definitely felt like a Are You Afraid of the Dark?
It did, but it also it makes sense like in the same realm of the camp world, you know?
Mm-hmm. Because ghost stories, camp stories, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I kind of appreciated that element to it, and it kind of made me miss my childhood a little bit more, even though I didn't connect with the show as much as I did with some other ones. Mm-hmm. It did make me feel nostalgic for like, oh man, summertime as a kid, like all the experiences I got to have. I think I was lucky enough to be able to do some things that made me just feel happy. You know, like
what? Tell me about it.
Camp. I mean, I went.
Oh, you didn't tell me your camp stories.
Well, I don't know.
Tell me that while you drink your
I
whiskey.
Let me tell you my church camp stories. Why
you went to church camp?
Yes, and I will say that.
Just as a preface for anyone listening to this, Sean introduced himself to me as a born again atheist. And I believe now you're just agnostic, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't put a lot of weight into it anymore like I used to. I find that the things that are important to me is just kindness, and curiosity.
Yeah.
And I think if you can just be open to other people's opinions, that's really important, right?
Right. But you went to church camp, so this is blowing my mind. So I want to hear about this.
Yeah. Well, even at the time, I wasn't sure that the religious aspect was connecting with me, but that didn't matter because like what we were doing was really cool, and that's not really the story. Like we were helping repair, honestly, like really old people's houses,
right?
And that was pretty empowering, man. Like we were just there, like, cool, we're gonna paint this guy's house today, or we're going to build a wheelchair ramp. And then throughout the week, there's like, cool, we're going to do a little service, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah. You felt empowered because you were actually helping people.
Yes. But the point of the story is that I felt like in betwixt all of that, I was making some really cool friendships with people at camp, because I think when you're put in a situation where you're going to stay the night at a place for 7 days straight, it's kind of like working on a film set, dude. Like,
yeah,
think about the friendships you make like that, like just super fast.
Other films I've worked on, like absolutely that friendship and that bond is real.
So I put that in the same camp as like a camp. And it's really cool to see that develop in such a quick and authentic way, and it makes you wonder, like, how can you kind of tap back into that? And it's special. It's a cool chapter. I think that if you can experience that, it's really cool. And I don't think, if you're listening to this and you're well past those camping years, I don't think you need that for it. I think you just have to find something that mirrors that, like we talked about, like a film set or something that puts you in that environment where you're able to make friends because you're going through something really special together.
That's dope. I like that.
Yeah, it was a fun time. It's cool.
I bet you are a fun time.
I mean, I try to be, man. I don't know. I don't fucking know. I know that this has been a fun time, though.
Yes, this absolutely has been a fun time.
Yeah.
Like, this feels like we are back, y'all.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back. We're not going back, but we are back.
We are back, and we missed you.
And we want to hear from you.
Oh, tell us about your camping stories. If you have any fun, hilarious, or even like what the fuck kind of camping stories, share that with us.
I do want to hear stories.
Yes, please.
That is the stuff that just sets my heart on fire. And ties. In the good way. I did accidentally set his heart on fire one time. Way to put it out.
Yeah.
It was in the form of him vomiting a lot.
Yeah.
But we avoided that today.
We did.
But we do want to hear from you. Ty, where can they reach out to us?
They can reach us if you want. You can actually email us your stories at whiskeylodeon.podcast@gmail.com. You can also talk to us on Facebook or Instagram at Whiskeylodeon Podcast. And at this point, you should have seen our trailer that we had posted up. That is fucking amazing. So we want to give a big shout out to Daniel Hamby who did it. You may remember him as our guest on the Avatar episode, going on an airbender. Excuse me.
Honestly, that noise that you just made from your face explains exactly how we felt from that episode.
Yes.
But yeah, that unexpected trailer did happen.
And it was amazing. I'm still smiling from it.
Of course. Well, this has been fun.
Absolutely. So I guess that just leaves us with one last thing.
And just to be very clear, this bottoms up is very unfair because I'm looking over at this motherfucker at my 12 o'clock who has no whiskey left in his glass.
Because I was drinking. I told you. I gave you fair warning. Drink your whiskey. And did you? No. You've left it sitting in your cup waiting for this last moment.
He says that, except he doesn't realize that I've topped my glass off twice in this episode.
Oh, wow. I've only topped off once. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So, who's the bitch now?
To being bitches.
To being bitches. Either way.
Bottoms up.
Bitches up.
So with that, we love you guys. We'll talk to you soon. And bye.
There's a good chance this episode already ended 10 seconds ago. When I hit this fucking button.